was a thank you note that changed his life. John Kralik went for a walk on a New Year's Day a few years ago, a day he had planned to spend hiking in the hills above Pasadena with his girlfriend. But instead of hiking with her, he found himself alone. The girlfriend had broken up with him on Christmas Eve. As people do at New Year's, John took stock of his life and acknowledged to himself that he was deeply unhappy. Looking back over the past year, he could see many reasons to feel disappointed and sad. John was in the lengthy process of becoming divorced from his second wife. His law practice was hanging by a thread. Debts were mounting to such a height that he was fearful he would lose the business. He hadn't had a paycheck all year, even though he was working 60-hour work weeks. John had grown distant from his 2 adult children and was feeling that his 8-year-old daughter was slipping away from him as well. As those feelings of hopelessness lingered, a day or two later, a card arrived in the mail. It was a thank you note from that girlfriend he'd broken up with, a thank you for the Christmas gift he had given her. John noticed how good it felt to be thanked, even though the sting of the breakup was still hurtful. The thank you note worked some kind of magic. It loosened the tangles of resentment and hurt that had been tied around his heart. John's mind traveled back in time to a time when he was 5 years old, a day his grandfather gave him and each of his cousins a gift, a shiny, brand new silver dollar. And there was something extra to this gift, his grandfather told him. He told him that if John were to write a thank you note for this gift, his grandfather promised he would send back a letter with another silver dollar in it for John. John's grandfather made this clear. This lesson wasn't about money. It was about how expressing gratitude can bring love and goodness into the world, reaping its own kind of benefits. Thinking about his grandfather helped John to form his New Year's resolution. He vowed he would write a thank you note a day for the whole year, writing 365 cards and letters before the year was up. So the first note, that went to his son to thank him for the holiday gift he'd given him. John placed a call to his son to get his mailing address, and not only came away with the address, but made a lunch date. This thank you note thing was off to an auspicious start, he thought. And within days, he had thanked everybody who'd given him a holiday gift. And then he realized he was going to have to broaden his thank you horizons. And this is where the magic begins. John goes beyond the Emily Post good etiquette zone, the thank you for the thoughtful gift kind of note. And he steps out into the wider world of expressing gratitude for the beauty and the goodness that everyday living often goes unnoted. The building manager in his apartment, he gets a thank you for fixing the toilet. Scott, the barista at Starbucks, who remembers John's name and his coffee order every single morning, gets a hand-delivered thank you over the coffee bar. The firm's clients, who pay their bills punctually, each get a handwritten note of gratitude. Old friends, college buddies, former colleagues, they all receive notes of thanks, expressing John's gratitude for their longtime friendship. As he relates in his book, 365 Thank Yous, John Kralik discovers over the course of a year that he is less focused on scarcity and more focused on the love and goodness that's all around him. His worries don't go away, nor does he stop attending to the many tasks and commitments he's made. But his worries are more right-sized. They're kept in balance with the fuller picture of his life. We all get to this place at a certain point. We fall into a well of sadness, a feeling of disappointment or frustration. Sometimes it's a mental health challenge that's the catalyst for falling into this hole. Sometimes it's an awful period when a job disappears, a diagnosis is unfavorable, a child is in trouble. Take your big worry and insert it right here. Before his New Year's Epiphany, John Kralik was going down a road that was bringing him malcontent moments and dissatisfied days and years of yearning. It's a treacherous road, a road that can lead to a far worse place. It can bring a person to a place of entitlement that gets people walled off from one another, walled off into these kind of silos of thinking. It's a mindset of scarcity, a mindset that says there will never be enough love, there will never be enough goodness, and there will never be enough of some precious resource. The classic example that comes to mind for many when thinking about an individual is Ebenezer Scrooge in all his pre-Christmas tight-fisted, cold-hearted indifference. And this mindset of scarcity and entitlement can happen in families. A beloved matriarch dies and the family dissolves into bitterness and resentment, pulling apart as they fall over the smallest of mementos. And the mindset of entitlement and scarcity can happen in faith communities, even this one. At one point, as we were considering joining Cisco, an organization that will help us work with other faith communities to fill our social justice goals, challenging questions were raised about the $1,000 annual contribution, an amount 0.1% of this congregation's annual budget. It's wonderful those concerns were overcome, and we did join Cisco. And the mindset of entitlement and scarcity can happen in corporations. You think about the Enron scandal, cloaked as it was in all of its accounting complexities, but at its core, there were a precious few grabbing onto assets, leaving thousands of employees heartbroken when their retirements were gone. And the mindset of entitlement and scarcity can even span into communities. Think of the anti-immigration Minutemen vigilantes at the Arizona-Mexico border. They stand ready to shoot to kill anyone crossing a line in the desert, believing that this country has run out of resources to provide work, food, or education for anyone who isn't already a legal U.S. resident. Now, the scale may be large or it may be small, but no matter what the magnitude, walling oneself off inside of this silo of scarcity and entitlement will become a kind of bondage. This spiritual malaise of insufficiency is a prison, but there's a key to liberation, and that key is gratitude. Each day I receive an email from gratefulness.org with a quotation on gratitude. And a few weeks ago I received this thought: gratitude is liberating. It is subversive. It helps us to realize that we are sufficient, and that realization frees us. This is a quote from Joanna Macy, Buddhist teacher, ecologist, and writer who lives just up the road here in Berkeley. She and co-author Chris Johnstone recently wrote a wonderful book that's focused on the idea of gratitude as liberation, called Active Hope. Macy and Johnstone write about the endless bombardment of our commercially oriented culture, cultural programming that can leave us feeling underappreciative of what it is we do have. Commercial messages, those banner headlines on web pages, the pop-up ads, the magazine inserts, radio and TV commercials, those pull our focus off of human connection and instead shift the focus to material things. Gratitude is about pulling back from that gotta have more rat race and instead focusing on the interconnected web of love and support we have woven through our lives. It's a social practice that calls us out into greater engagement in this world, stepping out of our silos of self-seeking behaviors. As we practice gratitude, we build resilience. In a year of writing thank you notes, John Kralik began to really see the people who showed up for him when things got rough. Just a few days ago, my sister sent me an email naming some of what she has been grateful for in the 9 months since her husband was diagnosed with brain cancer. My sister's list included lots of really small things, gestures of love and support. And it closed with her saying that she was most grateful for knowing that she's not alone in this passage of her life. I see that resilience in my sister's message, and I'm profoundly grateful that she is aware of how much I love her and how much her family and her friends care about her and her family. And as Macy says, gratitude is subversive. Gratitude turns over the apple cart. It redirects us from beyond the status quo to seek out hope and beauty. We see with new eyes the power of community engagement. Bringing in gratitude, hope is reinvigorated. We understand the expansiveness of time more fully, aware that great social change or recovery from ecological disaster takes commitment to the long haul. We build our resilience with gratitude. We strengthen ourselves through the uncertainty and the setbacks, maintaining energy and enthusiasm. We leave behind the current meta-narrative, the great unraveling, a viewpoint that's popular in the media that looks in our rear-view mirror and sees that our ecosystems are failing, our resources are being depleted, a meta-narrative that says we might as well give up because the world is going to hell in a handbasket. But our universalist heritage calls upon us to reject that hellish vision that predicts only doom and gloom for our future and do what we have done in the past. Believe fiercely in the possibilities of hope. We use gratitude to practice both and thinking, something we UUs do well. The world is both in grave danger, and there is great reason to hope. This turn towards hope is what Joanna Macy calls the Great Turning, an epical transition from an industrial society committed to economic growth to a life-sustaining society committed to the healing and the recovery of the world. Now, this great turning will require each one of us to make this commitment to hope. As Anne Lamott promises in the passage Joan read for us this morning, this effort of ours will be quantum. Each of our expressions of gratitude has significance. They have an import that will radiate forth into the wider world. It will take enthusiasm and resilience to keep building momentum for our hopeful vision. It is a revolution we begin with a single step, saying thank you. And now I'm going to practice what I preach and say a few thank yous. I'm so filled with gratitude, and that's why I chose this theme for this service. I have a long list, so I appreciate it if you bear with me, because there are so many wonderful people in this congregation. But since it's Father's Day, I think it would be wise to start with my father and say, Dad, I think you're wonderful. Well, what a gift it is to grow up in a joyful family. And Mom, too. My parents have been the place I have bunked quite frequently this year. And they have been a constant support and a kindness and fed me and let me sleep in their guest room, and I've just been so grateful for them and to be able to be with them. And then I want to thank my wonderful husband, because he is also a great father and the greatest joy in my life for 30 years, and I'm so grateful for you, hon. And I don't mean to put people on the spot, you don't have to stand up, but my kids are here too. Claire and Alexia are wonderful children, and I'm grateful for them too. And I've been surprised by a few friends who came here today, so I'll insert that. My friend Sally and her husband Dave came, and I saw my friend Katarina's name on the list, and a few other people just blew me away by being here. I'm just amazed. And now MDUUC people, man, music in this place is just a gift. I leave here every week singing something that's probably Thursday or Friday before it's not constantly being hummed in my head. Mark, you're amazing. The choir is a gift. Musicians like Cynthia and Art this morning, we just have this collective of incredible musicians here. And Brett's piano playing. Wow, can make music last and fill a space in a way that is just so lovely. And then the sound people too, like Jim and Joanne. You guys make us sound good. And it's a nice hello every morning to see you guys, and I'm grateful for you too. And then the RE folks today, Heather has already left her position, but the RE team in this church has got such a joyful program. It's been an amazing thing to witness and a learning experience for me to get to be a part of that and learn from Heather Sawyers before her time of service here closed. And then the staff in the office, maybe many of you don't spend a lot of time in the office, but if you have to pick a place to hang out, that is a great place to be. These are incredibly gifted people dedicated to the life of this church. Marie and Jen, Sean, Tristan, and Terry work really hard, and they love the service they give. And I think they leave at night feeling better for having been part of this community, and I was so grateful for having time to be with them as well. And then the intern committee. Wow, this has been, I mean, you got to hear Joan and Jan and Cynthia this morning, and these three people have been amazing. And then Avu Sankaralingam couldn't be here today, and nor could Marilyn Hopper. They're both traveling this weekend. But all year long, they have met with me, they have provided me feedback about sermons, they've gone into coffee hour and said, what did you think? Or is there something we could be doing differently? What shall we tell Melissa? And wow, they've been supportive of me in kind, affirming ways that have helped me grow so much during this year. And David Takahashi Morris and Andy Carlson, the other ministry staff, they just are dedicated people as well. David's on his sabbatical, and Andy is chaplain, but I have loved working with them as well. And then this congregation. You people are just fabulously amazing. I can't, Daniel smiles, because like, wow, I mean, just there's so many people in this church that just are lights and give so much and are so dedicated. And I have just getting to go out and visit people in their homes, getting to know people this year. Wow, I leave here every day feeling like I'm encouraged and people share deeply, and this is such a loving, supportive community that really knows how to work together. And then the most important thank you of all to me is to thank Leslie. Wow. Word on the street at Holy Hill when I was a student in seminary was that if you could get a place to be an intern, this was the place to be, because Leslie and David's leadership here, when they arrived and you all called them as ministers, there was a ripple that went through the Holy Hill. We all said, wow, we got to get out to Walnut Creek and see what's going on there. And the few friends of mine who've preceded me as interns here, I heard feedback from them. They're like, you got to keep trying to get there because it'll be an amazing experience. So I had some great hopes and expectations coming into this. They were all way exceeded every day. Just, I mean, you think about an amazing place to be. This is just incredible. Leslie is such a gift as an instructor. She has a gift for teaching and preaching and many, many forms of ministry. But a good teacher will draw out of somebody. Educate is to draw out. And you help a person see what it is they have and how those gifts can be engaged and moved into a greater space. And she has done that for me all year long, as well as being just an amazing human being to spend a lot of time with. So I am grateful for all of you for calling this minister and the gift Leslie gave me of this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, and for that wonderful sermon, her last gift to us. But I believe the members of the internship committee are going to come up and join me because Melissa does not get the last word on this.
We have been on such a wonderful journey this year with you, Melissa. Each of us has learned so much from you and have truly enjoyed and appreciated the many gifts, the many blessings you have shared with us and with this beloved community. We are full of gratitude, and today we have been singing our praise and thanks to you. We also want to thank Elliot, your husband and partner, for his patience and support of sharing you with us and for all the times you were busy writing a sermon or a curriculum for a class or at church late for a meeting or event or stuck in traffic due to the long commute. So thank you, Elliot. We want to thank your daughters, Claire and Alexi, and your parents, Thomas and Shirley, for supporting Melissa on her sacred path of ministry. Thank you. And we also want your family to know that we think of her as being very cool. And she started...
Good to have.
And she started getting a name within our intern circle towards the end, especially as rock star. So you are lucky. We have some gifts for you today, Melissa. We have a chalice that was made from member Ellen Shaksale. This chalice, as many of you know, is the symbol of our denomination. It unites our members in worship and symbolizes the spirit of our work and for years moving forward. You're welcome. We also have a stool for you. Now, it is customary for us to give our interns a stool at the end of their ministerial internship as a symbol of our faith and belief in you as a minister.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Also made especially for you.
That's lovely.
Thank you. So blessings to you and your family. Go in peace.
Moving with dedicated grace, she weaves life's lessons through garments of care and love. And that is Melissa. Let's give her one more round.